From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew. From our studios across the globe, this is episode 215 of the Blind Android Users podcast. We're recording today on January the 18th, 2025. I'm Warren, hiding here in the state of Washington.
I'm John in the state of Virginia.
Kareen in Lebanon.
And this is Sally from Samsun, Turkey.
Welcome, guys, to episode 215. Coming up in this episode, we'll be looking at ebook readers, though we'll be starting with those that are blind-centric. In other words, it's been some 3 years since we did the ebook readers, and so we're revisiting them with things changing. It is important that we take a look at this. And today we'll be looking at a couple blindness-centric or blind-centric readers, and we'll be looking at Easy Reader from Dolphin and Legere, or aka Voice Dream Reader. And next week or thereabout, we'll look at two more of this before we look into the general ebooks that are not blind-centric and compare them and see which one has more uses for those of us who are blind. In our spotlight today, we'll be looking at a mystery unboxing. John will be unboxing the OnePlus 13, a great phone, by the way, and John will be bringing us that unboxing. In our app of the week, we take a look at a new ebook reader, even though it's been there for a while. But those of you who like actions may find this to be a heaven for you. Colibrio is the app we'll be looking at today for our app of the week. And to close today's episode, the pretty one, Kareen, will be bringing us another entry from Commentary Screen Reader, aka Confused Screen Reader, if you are me, or Jieshuo Screen Reader, just to remember Austin. That's what we have in store for you today. John, what's going on in Virginia? There's a cold spell going on there across the eastern seaboard of our country. How are you guys faring?
We're doing good. We got snow last weekend, but this weekend it's warmed back up. I think it's in the 50s today, so not too bad.
That's really odd, though. You're so close to the DC area and Maryland and all of that, and it seems like that area is getting blasted with an Arctic cold air. How did you escape that? It doesn't make sense to me at all.
So I'm in the Virginia Beach area, which is like the furthest southeast you can go in Virginia, right on the shore, and we are the last part of Virginia to ever get the cold weather because there's the northern part of Virginia near DC, and then there's the western part of Virginia, which is in the mountains. Those two areas get the cold weather. We usually avoid it.
I see. That's the part of the country that I'm not very familiar with, because I'm thinking, how far are you guys from like the DC area? I mean, say, are you maybe like a couple hours or just an hour? How far are you from?
If there's no traffic,
area?
4 hours.
Oh, so you're kind of farther south. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I got it. Pretty girl, Kareen, how are you? What's going on? Are you now snowing out there or finally getting some rain? What's going on in Lebanon?
No rain. We're just waiting, and according to forecasts, it's likely that we won't have anything soon. So we're just hoping that things will change and that we will have some rain, because actually it's the winter. It's like we are really, winter has started since about a month, and now we're not getting really enough rain. So it's not really winter. It's close to spring, actually. So I don't know if we will stay like this. I hope that we won't. But yeah, things are like this. But anyway, we are still having some good fruits. And I always remember you when I eat delicious oranges. So yeah, we are just having the winter fruits.
Oh, that's a good girl. Now, are you guys dependent on snow water for your agriculture?
Well, actually, rain is important to have the water for summer. Actually, to be able to get enough water in the summer, and also snow, of course, in the mountainous areas where snow is the main source of water. Especially that here we don't have dams, we don't have ways to store water other than the natural ways. And we don't have also the methods that other countries use to sweeten the water, the seawater. So we rely heavily on the rain and snow that we get. So it will be. I say that it will be a difficult summer. It will be really hard time in the summer if things stay like this. So I hope that things will be better in the coming weeks.
Yeah, because for us here in the eastern part of Washington, on the east side of the Cascade Mountains, we solely depend on, snow melts, and we have reservoirs and all of that. And this part is the agricultural area. So we rely heavily on that. And so if we have a winter that doesn't have a lot of snow, then we know we're going to be running short in water. And so, but that's really interesting that you guys don't have a reservoir or dams. That water will run out real quick, but unless, of course, it rains throughout the year, or occasionally throughout the year, it could be tough. Sally, how about you?
Just to clarify something, there are the natural streams that from rocks and stuff, but the dams that people made, we don't have. We tried to build, but nothing was really like nothing worked because there is corruption and stuff. But yeah, we don't have this thing.
That is so sad, because that should be one of the most important things to do, because it seems like every country, especially, and in that area though, I'd always seen the Middle East to be more of a desert, like, lots of, portions of it, desert like we have here in the state of Washington. We're basically a desert here, to be honest. And without that, we'll be just out of nowhere. But we're the breadbasket of the area and many places because of, reservoirs and dams and things like that. Sally, how about you? Are you farming, my boy? What's going on in the Samsung Turkey?
Well, here it's like very cold and rainy these days. It's 2 degrees Celsius. In other words, it's 35. Well, this week's been all around real cold, and we are getting rains on and off, especially during the nighttime. We're getting heavy rain, and that results having a lot of water. So that's something good, I guess. And just saying, Samsung, I'm super excited for the Unpacked on Wednesday.
Yeah, I know you're looking forward to that phone, so that's great. And now, the Android Basics segment. This is a segment where we discuss the things that power your device from behind the scenes. And now, here's this week's episode, Android Basics. Let's chug along to our next segment, and this time we're talking about Android Basics, and now we're talking about those ebook readers, guys. We started this 3 years ago when we talked about ebook readers and in our categories that we'll be visiting. But like I indicated earlier on, we'll be talking about these 2 ebook readers, the Easy Reader from Dolphin and the Legere, aka Voice Dream Reader. I have both of these, and for me, to be honest, these ebook readers, and I'm starting with Easy Reader, it's a great reader. I mean, it does have its own faults and all of that. There's one problem that I have with Easy Reader, and that has to do with the fact that it wouldn't let you read PDFs without you subscribing to whatever you're from some educational system or whatever. That's the one thing that I find to be problematic with Easy Dolphin Reader. Does any of you use this e-reader at all, or have tried it at all at some point? Kareen, I know you try ebook readers. John is not an ebook reader guy. I know that. But have you tried the Easy Reader at some point, Kareen?
Well, maybe I did before, but I don't remember anything about it. I'm sure that it didn't interest me enough to use it. Actually, I'm more into the mainstream apps because I think they give you already what you need. And other than that, the blind related apps unfortunately don't give you something special to use them. This is my opinion, actually. But for me, I don't think that until now the blind related apps are giving me anything special. Neither the voice dream nor the easy reader. However, I just used the Tech Freedom documentary. I don't know if you want to talk about it this week or next week, but it's a blind related feature app, and it's a feature of this app. So I don't know if you want to discuss it this week or next week.
Yeah, well, since we're talking about this, we might just throw this in as a serendipity kind of thing. But before we get to that Tech Freedom, I think that one of the things that the blind-centric ones, for example, I'm looking at that easy reader, is the fact that it supports like the different libraries, blindness libraries like NLS, Bookshare, and, you have similar organizations across the world. Like, I don't know, there's one in Australia, there's one in the UK, the RNIB, and I think it has like maybe 13 different libraries that it supports, libraries that are, especially for the blind, and it supports that. My only, gripe with Dolphin is that it doesn't let you read PDFs without being that special member or whatever. And, my thinking is that if you're doing something for the blind, and most especially, we have a lot of challenges when it comes to PDFs. I don't know about you guys, but most oftentimes than not, PDFs kind of still remain a very difficult process for most of us and things like that. I'm not talking about things like docs and TXT files and all of that. PDFs are still a little bit of a challenge to a lot of people, and one would think that an organization like these guys from a blindness, app would kind of look into that and open up this feature to people, but no, it's not. And it used to be that they had their own TTS voices that were like vocalizer voices, and for some reason, it was like $9 per voice. And so they got rid of that because I think no one was buying that. There was no way to, for me to buy, such an expensive, TTS. And then another thing was that it wasn't letting people use their own local TTS engines. For example, even if I had vocalizer TTS and I would want to use it with it, it wouldn't let me do that. So now all that it uses is exclusively the Google Voices. So, those are some of the things that the Easy Reader has. But I think the big thing for it, in my never to be humble opinion, is the fact that it has support for these other libraries for the blind around the world. Sally, are you an ebook reader user?
Yeah, obviously. So speaking of libraries, I think Easy Reader is probably the most popular one here in Turkey because one of the most preferred blind-related library, the Getem library of the universities in Turkey, they are on Easy Reader. So if those members of the library, they want to read the audiobooks, the ebooks, anything related from that library, they can download Easy Reader for free and they can just log in with their account. And this is super awesome. We first tried that with Tech Freedom, but that was in their early days. But then Dolphin and the university, they did some partnership, and then they're letting users to browse the catalog and download the books, audiobooks for free, and listen to on their devices. This is crazy, and this is really good for those who want to listen to those books.
Yeah, so that's a big plus for the Easy Reader. Now, the other one though is the Legere, the AKA voice dream reader. I think it's kind of like become less and less melodious, among blind people. Have you tried using that, Sally?
Well, I was using Voice Dream Reader on my Fruitvale days, but then when I switched back to Android, I didn't find it as intuitive as it is on the iOS side. It's like they have this version of Android on there, but it's not really user friendly, and there are a lot of details they need to work on it. And since the Android branch is purchased by a French company, they're probably not paying attention to much accessibility.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. So that's one of the problems. And I don't remember if this supports Bookshare. I want to go on the limb that I think it does, and maybe it doesn't. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it lately, but Legere, it doesn't seem to get a lot of updates. I know I got an update maybe like last month and something like that. But other than that, yeah, I've heard about, those that have it on both iOS, Fruitvale, aka Fruitvale, say that the experience is a little bit different or more intuitive, like you said, on Fruitvale than it is on Android. And so I have never had the need to purchase it on my Fruitvale device. I do have some older Fruitvale devices here. I think the oldest one I have is the 8. I think that's the last one that I have. I just don't bother about Fruitvale devices. But yeah, so, and I didn't know if it will allow me to log on to using my email that I use in purchasing the app on Android. I have no clue. Do you know if it synchronizes? I mean, in other words, would I?
No, it definitely doesn't. They
I will
synchronize.
need to buy it separate, so it's not
Yeah.
like one of those apps that if you have it on one platform and so long as you use the same login, you should be good to go.
Obviously, you need to purchase like
Yeah,
it
so
doesn't let you
if you're doing
synchronize
that,
it.
that's wrong.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Because I shouldn't be doing that. But some apps are like that. You have to buy it on both sides of the aisle, and I
Yeah.
just don't care about that.
Warren, actually, as far as I know, now it's a different company. So we're not actually talking about the same app. And this saved the Android version from the trouble, the drama that happened when they decided on iOS to make it a subscription-based app, and they decided to prevent people who have purchased the lifetime subscription. And there was a lot of back and forth stuff, and until they decided to just change this decision. It's now a subscription-based app, but people who have purchased the app before are still able to use the old features, but they won't get new updates. So this was the solution to calm people down. But on Android, we didn't have this trouble because it's actually a different company.
I see. So in order to kind of please people, okay, we're going to let you have all that you need, but you may not have, updates. Because like I said, I had purchased it earlier. I was one of their beta testers when it was with the other Voice Dream guys. And then when it became Legere, I know that my purchase still carried through. But like I said, though, frankly, like you, Kareen, I've not been using the Blind-Centric apps a lot, to be honest. I kind of use like the off-the-shelf ones that we'll be talking about in our part 2 and all of that. But so I didn't know the wrangling that was with these things. So now I have a better understanding as to what's going on.
It reminds me a little bit of what happened with Pocket Casts, because they used to have like you could buy it as an app, and then when they started like their subscription model, they're like, okay, if you bought it previously, you can still use all the features that were included with that, but if you want any new features that we add in the future, you have to be subscribed to get it.
Talking about Pocket Casts, John, so I had purchased it earlier on before NPR purchased it from these guys. And NPR, we're talking about National Public Radio here in the States. And after they purchased that, like you said, there are certain things that I couldn't do. For example, I think in order for me to have the chapters, I had to do the 99-cent purchase, a subscription per month to be able to do that. And then, of course, they added the cloud storage. I don't need to be storing
And I
anything
think
in the cloud. What's the
if you
point?
want it to sync between your devices, like your PC and your phone, I think you have to be subscribed for that as well.
Interesting. Yeah. So someone's got to make a buck somewhere, right? I think that's what it all boils down to. Kareen, you are going to talk a little bit about the tech freedom. Talk a little bit about some of the things that are similar, because we're talking about blindness related items here. And of course, Tech Freedom does have the ebook reading capability because, as we indicated earlier on, it's like a Swiss Army knife here. So how is your experience when it comes to ebook reading?
Okay, so the document reader is a feature of the Tech Freedom app. So you need to install the Tech Freedom app to have the document reader. It's a basic, simple document reader, but it has also its good capabilities. Well, when you open, first of all, you can only import files from your device. Or actually use Dropbox or the regular import thing. It doesn't support external libraries, so you have to get the file and import it. This is the first thing. It supports a good number of extensions, which is great. You can open Word documents, you can open PDF, you can open EPUBs, TXT files. So what it does, it divides the document to pages, and you can read them using your screen reader. And it doesn't scroll directly between pages, so you have to go to the next page or to the previous page when you want to go back, or to swipe with two fingers, right or left. And actually, it's a good one. It loads the documents quickly. It doesn't preserve the formatting, which is, I think, a problem with most or maybe all the readers out there. So you can't, for example, use headings, use links to move between the links if there are links. It has table of contents, but it only supports PDF until now, as far as I know. So it will be good if they are able to include EPUBs as well. But this is the case for now. However, the good things about it are, other than its quick loading of the files, it supports 11 Labs voices. They had limitations. As far as I know, the limitations are lifted now, so people are able to convert as many pages as they want. However, people should just, they shouldn't abuse the feature, I think. So maybe it's better to go also sometimes with the 11 Reads official app to do some conversions. But actually, as I said, it supports the 11 Labs voices. You can play the files using 11 Labs. And it has some voices that the official app doesn't include, which is also a plus for the Tech Freedom. Another thing, which is something great, I think, is the OCR capability. So when you open a PDF, and for Arabic, in Arabic, for example, we have serious troubles with PDFs. Other than the PDFs that are just images, even if the PDF itself is text, usually the text is not rendered properly for the screen reader. So usually we will have a scattered file, a terrible text with all sorts of problems. So the only solution is OCR, and Tech Freedom excels in this area. Actually, today I was asked by a friend to help in converting a PDF book, and I was really impressed with the abilities. It's really quick. It's sort of accurate. So I think the OCR in the PDF reader and the document reader, when you are dealing with PDFs, is a big plus to tech freedom. You can perform OCR on the current page or on the entire document. And after performing the OCR, you will be able to read the text, either if it's an image or if there is really text, but it was not rendered correctly. So in both cases, you will be able to deal with the text, and you will get usually good results. So this is great about it.
Yeah, so you just touched on something that I was talking about earlier on, that PDFs are still a little bit of a challenge in certain circumstances, especially for those of us who are blind. And so it kind of takes me by surprise when Easy Reader would want to charge people in order to access PDFs. Now, but there was something that you mentioned, which is one of the things that I like in ebook readers, that ability, the support for a table of contents. And then the second one will be as to whether or not the text is exposed to the screen reader. For example, I'm reading something where I'm using the TTS put out, and then there's some new word that I don't know it's spelling. I would like to find out how that word is spelled. And so if the thing does not expose it, and I'm 11 Labs reader, I'm looking at you, because you don't expose the text to those of us who are blind. I wouldn't be able to know how to spell that. So these are two important things to look for in an ebook reader. And I know that Easy Reader does have the ability to expose the text. And Legere, I think it did. I haven't gone to it lately, so I can't say that with certainty that it still does, but I don't see a reason why that should be taken away. But these are very important. I want to be able to jump to chapters, because I'm one of those. I don't want to read something from the beginning and all the unrelated stuff, copyrighted material, blah, 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 that I'm not interested in. I want to jump into the introduction or to chapter 1 or whatever and get started. And so for me, when I'm looking at ebook readers, it is important that it supports chapters, and it supports the exposure of text to the screen reader. And if it doesn't, that's fine. But if it supports chapters, that's important. And now, the unboxing segment. This is the segment dedicated to the unboxings of phones, tablets, watches, or any hardware device having to do with Android. And now, here's this episode's unboxing. Chugging along, let's move on to our next segment, and that's the Spotlight segment. And of course, we're bringing that mystery unboxing, the OnePlus 13. John is always getting this new stuff. I kind of want to steal one of these things, like a you, John. Anyway, so John brings us the unboxing of the OnePlus 13. Great phone. John, take it away.
Hello, and welcome to the unboxing of the OnePlus 13. I just received it today, and I'm going to unbox it. So the one I received is called Arctic Dawn. I'm guessing that's a white one, and it's the 512 gigabyte version, which also has 16 gigabytes of RAM. I have the box here in front of me, and I can already tell by the thickness this is going to include a charger. So we mentioned in last week's episode that in the EU, it doesn't come with a charger, but here in the US it does. Well, it seems like it's going to. I guess I technically have not opened it yet, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the tape. It doesn't seem to have any fancy pull tabs or anything. So I'm just going to cut it, one on each side. Let's see what we have here. Take the lid off. Set it aside. All right, now on top we have the cardboard box with, well, let's see what it has. Pull this out. We have, of course, all the booklets and stuff that we are not going to bother with. One piece of cardboard has the SIM removal tool on it. It does come with a, is this an OTG adapter? Let's see. Yeah, it's gotta be. Yeah, an OTG adapter. So converts USB-A to USB-C. Set that aside. And then of course under that we have the phone, but I'm going to take it out and set it aside. It comes in a tray, so I'm putting the tray aside for now. And then we have this massive brick 100-watt charger that has a USB-A port on it that we had a discussion about last week. Warren is not a fan of that. I don't care. I'm just happy it's included and comes with a cable. Speaking of the cable, here it is. So I'll put that brick back down in there. Let's see how long this cable is. Obviously, it's going to be a USB-C to USB-A. And I guess it's about 4 feet. So pretty typical. I'll just put it back in there. All right, so let's get to the phone. I'm gonna peel this paper off of it. And for some reason OnePlus puts a sticker on the back, so I'm going to peel that off. Okay. I like the feeling of it. I'm pretty sure, although I don't have it in hand, it feels the same as it did on the OnePlus 12. So the back is glass, but it has a matte, as you can hear. It has a matte finish to it, so it's going to be a little slick or slippery, but it won't pick up fingerprints. The good thing is the side rails are grippy, so where you're actually holding it, you're going to have some grip. I like the size and weight of it. So this does have flat sides. The last year's OnePlus 12 did not have flat sides. This does have flat sides, but the screen isn't completely flat. It does have a little bit of a curve right at the edge, but so it's not as flat as, say, the Pixel 9 series that we unboxed for you a few months ago. But I still like the feeling of it. I like the weight of it. Yeah, so I'll describe it now. Starting with the back, same camera module. There's 4 cameras, but they're all within one circle, and it's just one flat piece of glass when you feel it. That's a round shape. I'd say it's about the size. I used this analogy or comparison last year as well. It's a little smaller than like the top of a soda can, but that's the size of the camera module, which again is just one piece of glass covering all the lenses. So if you were to buy a lens protector for this, it'd be very easy to install it. That's all that's on the back. Besides, I can feel where the OnePlus logo is, because the rest of the back is just slick. All right, along the right side, volume buttons at the top, and then below that is the power button or side key. Along the left side, there's the switch. I don't know if you can hear this, but so it has 3 levels. That's all that's on the left side, I believe. Yeah, I'm not feeling anything else. Along the bottom, there's obviously a USB-C port in the middle, and some microphones and speakers down there as well. I'm not sure about where the SIM tray is, but it seems like it's on the left side of the bottom. Now going to the top, I feel something that could be the microphone, or maybe that's the SIM tray. I'll have to let you know when I figure it out where the SIM tray actually is, but yeah, I touched on the important things where the switches and the key layout. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. I'm going to press it now. I'm holding it down. Nothing seems to be happening. Okay, it just vibrated. So I had to hold it for a while. Hopefully that's just because it's first boot. I'm just going to sit here for a little while so you get an idea of how long it takes to boot up. Now, I don't think this is going to vibrate like Pixels do, but it looks like there's something on the screen now, so I'm going to hold 2 fingers, see what happens. It doesn't seem to be doing anything, so I'm going to try pressing both volume keys and holding them. It vibrated, but I didn't hear anything. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to press them and hold them. Okay. The volume is just very low.
Off talkback button.
Okay, let's see.
Welcome to talkback. Page 1 of 5. Talkback provides spoken feedback so that you can use your device without looking.
All right, so
To change the accessibility volume, hold 1 finger on the screen and press the volume up or
I'm just going to show you how loud this gets. So I'm going to back up a
turn
little.
off talkback button.
So this should be full volume now.
Music volume set to 31%.
Okay.
Turn off talkback button. Welcome to talkback. Page 1 of 5. Talkback provides
I'm going to back out.
Allow Android Accessibility Suite to send you notifications. Allow button.
Allow
Double
this.
tap to activate. Startup wizard. Hello.
Okay. I'm going to turn the screen off.
Screen off. Ringer silent.
Just wanted to make sure we could get TalkBack running out of the box. I'm not going to bore you with any of the setup details. If there's anything that I need to let you know about that I come across, I will pass that along during the actual episode. But that completes this unboxing. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, John, for that unboxing of the OnePlus 13. Sounds like a great phone. And of course, they kind of always build nice feeling phones in the hand. And if you like something great, if you can afford it, like we talked about it, was it last week or the week before, the OnePlus 13R would be another good one to get if you can afford that $900 purchase, or is it $1,000? You could always go with the R, which is based on last year's chip, and as far as I'm concerned, last year's chip is damn good. What do you guys say?
Yeah, I think it's a better buy to get the 13R, but Yeah, so I guess they're at 600 and 900 now, which is what Pixels used to be, right? Before they raised their prices. But yeah, before we talk too much about anything else, I just wanted to comment on a couple of things because I mentioned in the unboxing, I would let people know where the SIM tray was for starters, and the SIM tray is along the bottom side all the way to the left. So the hole for the SIM tool is at the bottom left corner. So on the left side of the SIM tray, if there's also a hole on the right side of the SIM tray near the USB-C port, which is a microphone. So stay away from that one. It's all the way near the corner. That's where you put the SIM card in on the bottom.
I tell you, many people have poke holes. The good news is that it's really hard to, damage the microphone, but it's nice to know where it is because you don't want to be poking holes until you get it.
You got to get used to the feeling of like what it's supposed to feel like once you get the tool in there. Like if it goes in too deep, you're like, this is probably a mic hole. So you get used to it, but you still don't want to be putting it where you shouldn't. At least, on I think it's still this way on the Ultra. It's been this way for years. The S series Samsung Ultra, it has the microphone hole is literally right next to the SIM hole, and it's like that's frustrating. Yeah, at least put the ejection part on the opposite side of the SIM tray.
Exactly, like the OnePlus has it on the left, so you know that it's there. There's no way you're gonna poke the hole because the Ultras have it right next to each other, so it's on the right side of left side of the USB port, but you have the mic right there and the SIM right next to each other. That's really bad.
And something else I need to mention, because when I ended that recording, I said I'd let you know about accessibility issues if I encounter any, and literally like within 30 seconds of stopping that recording, I ran into one, and right out of the box, TalkBack is unable to continue with the setup because on the screen it says something along the lines of hello, and then below that it'll say let's get started or something like this. I might not have those exactly right, but the point is there's a button at the bottom of the screen, and I don't know what the button says. It's either next, continue, get started, something like that.
It's next or continue, because I had the Nord series that I got like last month. I got like 4 of them for someone, some people on the East Coast. And it says hello. And then at the bottom there's
so did you also have this issue with TalkBack, or did it work for you?
No, it worked with TalkBack.
Okay, so this might be is probably an Android 15 thing.
Android 15, because even with my 10T, it worked with TalkBack.
So what's happening is it's not letting me focus that button at all. I can't explore to it. I can't swipe to it. So you're kind of stuck at that point. I mean, what I did was I did the pass-through gesture of double tapping and holding with 4 fingers. That's the default pass-through gesture. And then I just tapped near the bottom of the screen, and I got lucky and it put me to the next screen. But I heard from somebody else that you can just turn off TalkBack with the volume keys and hit that button and then turn it back on. I was afraid to turn it off because I didn't know if it would turn back on once I was off that first screen. So that's why I did the pass-through gesture. But apparently you can turn it off and turn it back on later. So that was the first issue I encountered. And after that, the only other issue I came across was when registering. And this is how it's been, if I remember correctly. Even on the OnePlus 12, it was this way. When you're registering your fingerprint, there's no feedback. Like, it doesn't tell you, like, lift your finger, press it again. All the things, like, when it's telling you, like, try the side of your finger now, like, all those steps, it doesn't voice any of that. So you just feel vibrations. And I just kept pressing it over and over again until I got to the next step. But there was no feedback.
But it does let you know when the finger's successfully added, right? So you could, if you want to add a second one. I don't remember, what my 10T did. Did it indicate for you when you were done adding that finger and letting you know you could now add another one?
Yeah, it did. I don't remember I don't remember, honestly. I kept touching it, and then I would explore the screen to see if I was still on the same screen, because you can explore it, and you can see that what the next direction is if you put it in focus with TalkBack. So, yeah, eventually I realized I was no longer registering my fingerprint, and I had the option to continue.
Yeah, that's such a shame though, because it's such a great device. This is one of the reasons, guys, we've been talking about the fact that some of these companies need some people with disabilities in there. It wouldn't hurt for them to have someone who is blind to be testing these things for them. I don't know why they don't do that, because this is really important. But like we've said, and we'll say it again, we're always an afterthought. Believe it or not, no one thinks about us. And I don't care what anyone says. No company thinks about us. That's quite unfortunate.
I mean,
Yeah.
I will. So it's been a mixed bag so far. I've come across a lot of accessibility issues, not deal breakers, but just annoyances. So I think I'm going to start, even if I don't use this as my daily driver, I think I'm going to keep it this time around and start submitting feedback and see if it does get addressed. Because last year I was just like, I sold the phone and moved on. So, so they do. It's in certain areas I can see that they care. Like, for example, the way you power off the phone, when you bring up the power menu, there's like a switch looking thing on the screen that you can swipe down to power off the phone or swipe up to restart the phone. And for a sighted,
I like that.
Yeah, and for a sighted user, you have to put your thumb or finger on the switch and slide it down.
Yeah.
Or put it on the switch and slide it up. You can't swipe anywhere on the screen. You actually have to grab the switch and move it.
Oh,
but when TalkBack is enabled, it says out loud, it says swipe up with 2 fingers to restart, or swipe down with 2 fingers to power off, and you can swipe anywhere on the screen. So they have, like, you don't actually have to swipe on the switch itself. So they have like gone out of their way to make sure certain things are accessible with TalkBack, and it even behaves differently with TalkBack. Like if you have TalkBack running and you bring up, and I did this just to see what would happen. I brought up the power menu and I did a pass-through gesture on TalkBack, and I swiped away from the switch with just 1 finger, and it worked. So they know that TalkBack is running, and they make it so that you don't actually have to touch on the switch, and that allows the 2-finger pass-through to work anywhere on the screen. So they are going out of their way to fix certain things, but I think hopefully if I submit some of this feedback that I've come across, we'll see improvements.
Up next is the App of the Week segment. This is a segment dedicated to app demonstrations. Should you have an app that you would like to demonstrate for our listeners, feel free to send us the recording of such an app demo to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. And now for this week's episode, here's your App of the Week. Let's now move on to our next segment, and we're talking about the App of the Week, and this is demonstrating Colibrio. Hi. For episode 215 App of the Week, this is demonstrating Colibrio. Colibrio, Colibrio, is an ebook reader, and I believe this is coming to us from a developer based in Sweden. I'll be demonstrating this using my Pixel 9 Pro XL, running Android 16 Developer Preview 2, and in the way of the speech TTS, I'll be utilizing the Google TTS engine. I am on the home page, that is on the Play Store page of Colibrio, and will now navigate my way to the About, and let's hear about the description of the app. Then I'll come back to this page and install it and get started. Let's now, though, hear the description of Colibrio.
About this app heading. Google Play Store. Colibrio Reader, details. And modern, accessible e-reader with all the bells and whistles. The Colibrio Reader is an implementation of the Colibrio Reader framework, the most advanced development framework for building digital reading systems. Colibrio Reader supports all of the features in EPUB 3, including talking books, media overlays, interactivity, scripting, reflowable and fixed layout, text-to-speech, bookmarks, annotations, and much more. We have chosen to make this app free to all to help people that are looking for an accessible reader and to help promote EPUB as a format, and also to promote our framework, of course, Smile. This app will be updated regularly with all our latest features at the time they reach their beta stage, so you can look forward to a steady stream of fun new features. A note to screen reader users, the app works best when used with the Google Talkback service. Also, for accessibility testers, please turn on Talkback before you start the app. Now go read a good book, Kareen. We are looking forward to your feedback. App Info. Version 1.5.3. Updated on December 4, 2024. Downloads 1000 plus download. Download size 8.47 megabytes. Required OS Android 6.0 and up. Offered by Colibrio Software AB. Released on August 11, 2021.
And that's both the description and the history of the app. I'll now go back to the installation page and tap on that install.
Play Store. About this app heading. Install button. Pending. Verified by Play Protect. Navigate up button. Colibrio Reader. 0%. 1%. 5%. Installing. Open button.
The installation is completed and we're now sitting on the open button. I'll go ahead and tap here to get started.
Welcome to Colibrio Reader. Go ahead and add your first book by using the Talkback Actions menu. Note for people testing accessibility features, please start Talkback before starting the app. After switching off Talkback, restart the app.
And that's the information we hear upon opening the app. And I do want to mention here, though, that the app is very simplistic. In other words, you don't have lots of buttons. As a matter of fact, there are only a couple buttons, one near the top and one at the very bottom right. That's all that we have in the way of buttons here. I'll now give you the layout and then proceed from here. Near the top part of the phone is some illustrative logo of the developer, and it shows a bird, a hummingbird, and touching the middle of the phone around that top part, you'll hear the description of the bird, and whether you touch the left or right edges of the phone, you'll hear the same thing, and visually there will be a box drawn around that image. Here's what I'm talking about.
Colibrio Reader logo, a hummingbird in flight on a purple background.
That's what you hear there at the top. Now moving down, we have a button that talks about menu details.
App Details menu button.
Here we have App Details menu, and then at the bottom right corner,
Add Book button.
Add Book. That's all that we have in the way of buttons. I would like to go back though near to that top and tap on that App Details menu. There's not much to go on here except that here all that you have are some menial things without even a thing like settings. So it's all basic and very menial things. Here's what I'm talking about.
App Details menu button. Pop-up window. Licenses in list.
Tapping on that App Details menu, we heard licenses. Now moving down, we got
Help.
Next.
About.
And
Build 1542.
That's all that we have. I'll now go back.
Colibrio Reader. App Details menu button.
Now that we're in the menu eye of the app, now all that needs to happen is to add a book. And you could add a book by using one of two methods. One, you could tap at that Add Book at the bottom right corner, or the second method would be to touch the middle of the phone, and then swiping down with one finger activates the actions, and you can find Add a Book from within that actions. So if you're someone who really like actions with TalkBack, this app is your heaven, because everything or just about everything in here is via actions. I'll now touch the middle of that phone, and now I'll swipe down so you can hear the actions that we have.
Welcome to Colibrio Reader. Go ahead and add your first.
Now I'm going to swipe down.
Open last read book.
Swipe down.
Add new book.
Swipe down.
Clear search filter.
Swipe down.
Activate.
That's the last item, and now swipe down again to the wrap to the top.
Open last read book.
Swipe again
Add new book.
and add new book. Let's tap.
Add books. From your device button.
Tapping on that add book, we're now on a window, or rather on a screen that says add book from your device. In other words, if I tap here, I'll be adding a book from my device. Below that, though, we have some prefetched books that you could use. These are classics, and they're arranged in a row. There are 2 rows of that, 3 on each column. Here's what I'm talking about.
The Jungle Book, Rudyard Kipling, row 3, column 1.
Swiping right.
The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr.
Swipe
Hyde,
right
Robert Louis
again.
Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen, column 3.
Swipe right.
The Hound of the Baskervilles, Arthur Conan Doyle, row 4, column
Swipe
1.
right.
The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, L. Frank
And
Baum, column
last.
2. Circular Flow V5.1 promo, Ken Jones, column 3.
That's what we have. So you could either browse your device, or if you want to read one of these classics, you could tap on that to read that book that are shown here. And if I go back, for example,
Add Books dialog has been.
and if I tap at the bottom right corner, the add books,
Add Book button. Add Books. From your device button, row 1.
we are brought back to that same window or that screen where we could either choose from our device or get one of these prefetched books. I'm going to tap on one of the prefetched books, and of course this is a book I read when I was a kid.
The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Robert Louis Stevenson, row 3.
All right, and I'll tap.
Download book. Are you sure you want to download this publication out of grid?
Tapping on one of those books, we have a dialogue asking us as to whether or not we want to download this book. And then in the middle of the phone, on the right edge of the phone, we got a couple buttons. The first one is
Cancel button.
cancel or
Confirm button.
confirm the download. I'm going to tap here to confirm.
Colibrio reader.
And now it's downloading the book. And once it's downloaded, then we'll proceed from
Double
here.
tap the screen to open the application action menu. Colibrio reader. Progress 0%.
We are now in the book, and if I touch,
Cover. Graphic.
it's on the cover. But earlier we heard some instructions saying if we want to get the actions of the book, we need to just simply double tap. So if I double tap here, it's going to pop up some actions. And this is what I'm talking about. If you're someone who likes TalkBack, lots of actions here. If all I do is swipe down, here's what we got.
Go to next page. Go to previous page. Close publication and return to bookshelf. Activate.
And that's the last one. If I, however, double tap on it, then it'll bring up more actions. So I'm going to simply tap.
App actions. Go to next page 1 of 13 in list 13 items.
We are told that there are a total of 13 different actions of this book, and all I'm going to do is just go through them. The first one is go to the next page, moving down.
Go to previous page 2 of 13.
Next.
Current reading location 3 of 13. Show table of contents 4 of 13.
Show table of contents. This is one of the things that I like in an ebook reader. One of the things that I like in an ebook reader is the ability to jump to chapters that I want to jump to. And this one happens to be one of those, something I look for in an ebook reader. Next.
Search in book 5 of 13.
Next.
Add bookmark 6 of 13. Show bookmark list 7 of 13. Annotate current reading location 8 of 13. Show annotation list 9 of 13. Show active annotations 10 of 13. Show navigation history 11 of 13. Show read aloud controls 12 of 13.
Here we come across show read aloud controls. We'll come back to that after we look at the last item here in these 13 items.
Close publication and return to bookshelf 13 of 13.
Now move back.
Show read aloud controls 12 of 13.
I'll now tap on these read aloud actions or controls.
Toggle
rather.
read aloud button out of list. Colibrio reader. Hide read aloud controls button.
We're now on a screen that has some buttons at the very bottom, and the first one at the bottom left is the height read controls. Moving right,
Skip back button.
to the right of that,
Toggle read aloud button.
this is a toggle that you could toggle the read and the stoppage of the reading. Next,
Skip forward button.
next,
Read aloud options button.
and that's the last item, read aloud options. Let's go into the read aloud options and see the items that we have.
Speech volume. Speech volume 100%.
The first item we come across is speech volume, and it's at 100%. You can decrease it to your liking. Moving down.
Playback rate 100%.
Next.
Language English.
If your language is not English, you could tap here to go choose your language that you would like to read
Detected image.
in.
Agree.
Next.
Voice 1.
We come across voices. Next.
Highlight color.
And that's the last item. Let's move back, though, to the voices and see the voices that are
Detected image.
available.
Agree. Voice 1. Voice. Voice 1 in list. Voice 1.
We're now in the list of voices, and to the right of each of these voices is a preview. In other words, if you move your finger to the right or you swipe to the right, you're going to find a preview voice. And so now I'll move my finger to the right edge and preview voice 1.
Preview voice button. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson.
Moving on down,
Voice 2 remote. Internet connection required.
our second voice requires internet connectivity. In other words, it's an online voice, and you can only use that when you have internet connectivity. And moving to the right,
Preview voice button.
I'm going to tap to preview.
The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson.
I'll move to the next.
Voice 3 remote. Internet connection required.
That's also remote. I'm going to scroll down, see how many voices we have in its totality.
Voice 13 remote. Internet connection required.
We have 13 voices, and at the bottom right there
Cancel button out of list.
is the cancel button. I'm going to put my finger down in the middle and choose something at random.
Voice 8 in list.
Let's choose voice 8.
Voice 8.
Tap.
Voice 8.
We are now back in the options of the voice
Detected
controls.
image. A green
and
line.
we're sitting on that voice 8 that I just tapped on. Now I'm going to go back.
Read aloud settings dialog has been closed. Colibrio reader. Colibrio reader.
In other words, I've closed out of the options, and now I'm going to tap on the toggle to play a little bit of this book.
Toggle read aloud button. Cover. The Project Gutenberg ebook of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. This ebook is for the use of anyone anywhere in the current position 0%.
I just double tap on it to stop, and as you can see, these prefetched books are coming from the Gutenberg project. Now let's go back to the menu eye or to the bookshelf.
Exit to bookshelf. Are you sure you want to exit?
We're now being asked as to whether or not we want to exit. And then in the middle, toward the right, we got those two buttons. We got
No button.
no or
Yes button.
yes. I'm going to tap yes.
Colibrio reader. Add book button.
We heard Colibrio reader, and we're highlighting the button at the very bottom right. And now I'm going to go to the top and see what we have. And here's what we got.
Last read book, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. Progress 0%.
And to the right of that,
App details menu button.
we still have that app details. Now moving on down.
Search bookshelf edit box.
In other words, if you have several books and you want to search for one, you tap here to search for the book that you would like to go read. Next.
All books.
We now come across a header that says all books, and so all the books that you've imported will be here. In this case, we only have one, and moving my finger down,
The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, stored in the cloud.
We're told the title of the book, and we also have additional info indicating that this book is coming directly from online. Now, if this was a book that I imported from my local storage, it probably would have told us this was coming from my device. I didn't, however, want to read anything of mine on here because of copyright issues, and so that's what we have. Now that we're sitting here, we can do some actions here. In other words, if you swipe down with your finger, you're going to find actions relating to this book. Here are those actions.
Open details.
Swipe down.
Delete book.
Delete the book. Next.
Add to favorites.
Next.
Add new book.
Next.
Clear search filter.
Next.
Activate.
And activate. That's the last item. So, in conclusion, I do want to say that I really like this app, and most especially for the fact that it has both a table of contents and also exposes the text to the screen reader. So if you want to read using your screen reader, or if you have a Braille device, like a Braille display, for example, you could use that in reading the book that you've opened. I hope that you find Colibrio to be something of great use to you, and thanks for listening. And that's that demonstration of Colibrio. Guys, you have any comments about this? I know there are some certain things that need some work, as we were saying earlier on, most especially when it comes to like other TTS engines. Kareen, you are having some problems, and which I was able to replicate. You want to mention that here for our listeners, so if they run into that problem? And also I want to mention here that because I was using mine on the Android 16 developer preview 2, the voices were not changing for me. It was using the same voice that I was using as my main driving TTS engine. Even though the voices are from the online, whatever, it sounded the same thing. But John, testing it at his end, actually had different voices. I mean, although they're all from Google. Kareen?
All right, so I want to talk about two issues. One is Jieshuo specific, and the other one is the one that you were talking about, which is related to the TTS engine. So I'll start with the general one. When you are using another TTS engine as the system TTS engine, other than the speech services by Google, you won't be able to change the voice. So literally, it will use the same default voice that you are using as your for your system TTS engine. You won't be able at all to change anything. The default or the voice changing and the settings will be disabled. But if you change to speech services by Google, you will be able to change the voice. But the thing is that it won't take effect until you close the app first. So you can just close it from the recent apps and then open it again after you select speech services as the default system engine. Then it will be able to change the voice, and you will be able to use either the offline voices of Google speech services or the online Google voices. So you can preview the voices actually, and you can listen to them to see how they sound. So this is the thing. And actually, I don't like when the app doesn't allow me to use another TTS engine, because this also conflicts with the screen reader. So what's happening now, if I try, for example, to use the screen reader, it will stop reading because it will give the engine to the screen reader. So this will make using the phone at the same time while you're reading not an option if it's reading aloud. So this is the point. The other thing, which is kind of disappointing, which is the actions. Although the app supports actions and there are a lot of them, and well, it's a good thing, it's a great thing actually to support actions, but with Jieshuo, most actions can't be detected with the screen reader at all. So you will just get like 1 or 2 actions, nothing more. Well, the good thing is that you will still be able to deal with things and to open things just by double tapping. When you double tap, it will show you the options, but the actions or using actions, it's not possible with Jieshuo. Usually actions can be detected with both screen readers, but this happens sometimes, or like the only other place that I have this thing is in the notification shade. So in the notification shade, usually TalkBack is the only screen reader that's able to see the actions. To dismiss or expand, and now this app is the second place where I have this thing. So you have to know that when you are using Jieshuo, you won't have most available accessibility actions that are supported by this app, which is not really good. But yeah, this is the case actually.
Talking about that, there was something though that I didn't mention in my demo is the fact that this thing also support, audio books, for example. I just don't have audio books that I could have tested it with. But if you want to try an audio book, some of the prefetched books on there, I think the Jungle Book is one of those. That's an audio book. You could try that to see how it works. But John, if you have any audio books, you could try it and see if it supports those other audio books that is not coming from the prefetched audio books. Another thing, though, that you mentioned, Kareen, the actions thing, that we would love for the developer to make some changes would be that we need some controls right there on the screen so that I don't have to go into the actions to find that, for example, to go there to activate the reading controls. It would be nice to have them right there instead of being buried in the actions.
I agree on what you said, but another thing which is unrelated is the extensions, the supported extensions. This app supports only PDF and EPUBs according to my testing. I don't know what about the audiobooks, if it will be able to open locally saved files. I don't know actually the extensions that it supports, but with respect to text, it won't be. It's unable to open TXT files. Also, it's unable to open Word documents. So it only worked for me with PDFs and EPUBs, and actually it doesn't have any OCR capability with the PDFs. So if it's an image, you won't be able to do anything about it.
Yeah, I think that the focus of this thing is EPUB, because they talk extensively about that, supporting EPUB 3 standards and all of that. So I think their focus is mainly on EPUB, but it's one of these feedback that we need to let them know about, and certain things of this nature so they could improve on that. And that's why when I get him on here to come and talk to us, then we'll ask him about some of these things. So look forward to us getting him on here, or him or her, I don't know the person, so that we'll talk about these things, because they're very important to us. And I like the fact that they pay attention to accessibility, but I think it's TalkBack centric, if you ask me, because it does mention TalkBack in there as something that they support the actions on. So they know what they're doing. I don't think that they're familiar with the other things. And so these are areas that we'll need to kind of give them information about, so that they will expand the support. And now, Jieshuo, aka Commentary Screen Reader, CSR, or if you're me, the Confused Screen Reader. This is a segment dedicated to this great popular screen reader, where we show you some new feature or some feature that we believe you should be in the know of. And now, for this episode, here's your entry for Jieshuo, aka Commentary Screen Reader. And to close today's episode, we now move to our next segment, and we're talking about the Jieshuo commentary screen reader, aka Jieshuo, and aka confused screen reader. I can't get away from saying that because I simply want to piss Kareen off. But she's been very good with me and very patient. Now, here's Kareen to bring us another entry from commentary, aka Jieshuo screen reader.
Hi. The Inquire by voice functions in Jieshuo Screen Reader are functions that enable users to speak their own prompts and send them with a screenshot of the current focus or the entire screen to the Blue Heart AI service to get responses based on the prompts used. The two functions can be assigned to gestures. Also, they are in the main menu and you can activate them from the voice assistants. However, recently, the Jieshuo developer has included a new way to activate the Inquire by voice about current focus function. Let's see how it works. Let's open Screen Reader settings.
Main menu. Screen Reader settings. Jieshuo Plus.
Then Advanced Settings.
Advanced settings. Advanced settings.
Then Voice Assistant and Translation settings.
Voice Assistant and Translation settings. Voice Assistant and Translation settings.
The option is still in Chinese. It can't be translated until the developer adds it to the translation strings.
Append the text. Unchecked. Mute. Unchecked.
This is the option. I'll use the translation.
OCR and translation. Click and hold to use voice to ask for focus function unchecked.
I will check the checkbox.
Check a checkbox.
Now let's explain the method. In order to activate the Inquire by voice function using this method, you have first to focus an item. Then you have to touch this item and keep your finger on the screen. So first, focus either by touching the actual position or by using the swiping method. Then touch the place where the item is located and keep the finger on the screen until you hear the beep so you can speak your prompt. I'll go to the home screen.
Home screen 1 of 2.
And I will touch one of the icons.
Seeing AI.
Then I'll tap again.
Seeing AI.
Can you describe the icon?
Recognition in progress. This icon shows a simple design. The main element is a white pattern that looks like an abstract eye or camera lens. This pattern is placed on a blue oval background. The background itself has a gradient effect, from light blue to dark blue, and there are some light spots and lines, giving it a sense of technology and futuristic. The overall design looks very modern and clean.
So I didn't lift my finger until I heard the beep. Now I will use swiping to focus an element. Then I'll touch its position. And you should pay attention to the point that it's not possible to focus an element by swiping, then putting the finger anywhere on the screen and keeping it to start the feature.
Cache reader.
I'll swipe now to the left.
CX File Explorer.
And then I'll touch the same icon on the screen.
CX File Explorer. Other client recognition in progress. This is an icon image showing a folder icon. The folder is blue with a white CX on it. The folder label is orange, and the background is a light gray and blue gradient. This icon may represent an application or a folder, depending on the context.
What I did is that after I heard the beep, I used the back gesture because I didn't want to say a prompt. This stops the listening service, but it sends the screenshot to the AI service and it responds with a description of the image. I hope that my explanation was clear. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Kareen, for another entry from Jieshuo Screen Reader. And if you don't know how to get hold of this, you could always write to us or go to accessibleandroid.com and you can find links to where you could download Jieshuo Screen Reader.
Yeah, we will clear people's confusions. But actually, I want to say two things. First, I said during the recording that you will hear the chime to speak, but I don't know why. Actually, it wasn't capturing this chime during the recording, so you weren't able to hear any chime when you listen to the recording, but it's there. So it's just the chime wasn't captured. This is the first thing, and the second thing is that on Friday. The Jieshuo developer included a new thing, which is the ability to modify or to change the thing related to the voice assistant and the Inquire by voice functions to give the users the ability to ask using text. Actually, it's not the best implementation, but he did it well. What I was looking for is the ability to ask using text. Or to include two functions to ask by text, but this is not what he did. What he did is a switch in the settings, advanced settings, voice assistant, and translation settings. It's currently in Chinese because it's not in the translation strings until now. But the switch just gives you the ability to disable the voice thing and to replace it with text. So, but it works generally. So if you check this box, what will happen is that you will be using typing when you invoke the voice assistant or when you use the Inquire by voice functions, all of the functions, including the one that I was talking about in this recording. So it will always use typing. It will always give, or it will always use text input instead of voice input when you check this box. So I don't know if he will keep this like this, but for now, it's the method he is using. So I wanted just to point this out to people who are using actually the beta that was released on Friday.
So in other words, you have two options. You can either use voice or text, but you cannot have both exposed to you at the same time. So you have like maybe two buttons, say, okay, or there should be a toggle that I could just, switch to text or switch to voice rather. Right there, you have to go into the advanced and choose either of the two. And then when you feel like using voice, you got to go back in there and choose to use the voice. So I see what's going on. Yeah, but I think it would be nice if he's able to have both buttons right there, or at least like a toggle there that if you double tap on it, it changes to text. And if you double tap on it, it changes to voice and something like that. I think that may be probably the best approach, wouldn't it be?
Exactly. And you're learning quickly, actually, which is good.
Well, at least you are not angry with me, so that's good. You're a good sport. Oh my goodness. Sorry about my whatever, but I couldn't resist the confused screen reader. So you see where the confusion is, Kareen. There's a little bit of a confusion here. So try to educate him a little bit so that we have a better experience. Because, like I said, he's got very great ideas. He needs someone to also help him. Hey, do it this way and that way to make things better.
Yeah, but confusion is a trademark of this guy. So if he changes, it won't be special.
Oh my goodness. All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up, though, we give you information on how to get hold of us. Well, with that, though, we come to the end of today's episode, and it's been great with you guys listening to us. We do have John, though, standing by to give you information on how to get hold of us. John?
To contact us, simply send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. If you'd prefer, you can leave a voicemail by calling +1 307 202 9797. You can join our mailing list by sending a blank email to blindandroidusers+subscribe@groups.io. You can join our Facebook and Telegram groups or subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links in the podcast show notes or YouTube video description. And you can find all of this information and more at our website, blindandroidusers.com.
Thank you so much, John, for that information. And that's how you get hold of us. Until next week, from me, it's goodbye.
Thanks for listening. Have a great week.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.